Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care now, guys? We're not only coming out of the international dead zone, but we're also coming out of the football dark ages, and we're joining the 21st century of elite European football. Celtic have today confirmed the appointment of the new head of football operations, Paul Tidsdale. Paul the Tim. In a move that has been kind of mooted, the rumours started on this one about a week or two ago, and it was was this going to be a consultancy role? Was it going to be a permanent appointment? Has he already actually been influencing some of the operations at Celtic throughout the summer transfer window? And the announcement today answers all of that. In the video today, we'll be breaking down the announcement that we got from Celtic, as well as explaining in a lot more detail what the head of football operations actually means to me and you, the supporters, the ones that are going there, back in the team, and hoping that our aspirations of being a prominent force in European football again can one day be relived. At any point in the video, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We are pushing for 10,000 subscribers and we are this close to smashing that target. Thanks to everyone for all the continued support on the channel, for all the content that we've got going on here. And drop into the comment section of this one and let me know what your overall thoughts, feelings, opinions are on this appointment. Is it long overdue? Is it all kind of smoke and mirrors? Does it not really mean too much? I'm always interested to see what you guys are saying in the comment section, particularly with these big developments when we get them. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it, because there's a lot of meat on the bones of this appointment. If you have a check at the Celtic website for the official announcement, which we don't normally tend to do too much on the channel, a lot of the breaking news announcement stuff all kind of really tends to happen on Twitter. And I suppose this was kind of announced via Twitter. People found the article and reposted it and all the rest of it. But nonetheless, it's great to see that the club have taken the initiative to announce this themselves in good old formal proceedings. Celtic Football Club is delighted to announce the appointment of Paul Tidsdale as the head of Celtic Football Operations. This new strategic role, reporting to the board, Paul will oversee the development management of effective operations to support high-level football performance, including the identification and development of talent in line with the club's objectives to develop Champions League players through our academy and recruitment process. I'm very, very glad that this is addressed at the very tip-off of the announcement, because this is exactly the remit, the point, the purpose of having someone in that head of football, director of football type position, where they can act as, I wouldn't say a liaison, I've heard that word used a few times for these sorts of roles. It's not really a liaison operation from manager to board, but it's more having someone at, maybe not, I know he joins the board, but he's not like Desmond and Lowell and all these guys. He's brought into that fold, he's brought into that kind of inner circle, but he's still very firmly part of the football operations. And throughout the people that we've had at Celtic over the last couple of years that have occupied a quasi role like that, they've not been football men. They've been money men, they've been business people. And you only need to look at Man United to see like how successful that ultimately does lead you. Yeah, we've got the stuff with Adidas, we've got record revenues and all that kind of stuff, which maybe points to some success from those previous appointments. But from what we've seen on the pitch, especially at Champions League level, and from what we see in the transfer market, you can tell that a lot of these guys are really using antiquated methods and are really just relying on their phone book for the majority of time to see what transfers we can do, what managers we could bring in, etc. Additionally, Paul will work with the club's analytics functions, supporting colleagues across the club to continuously improve our processes. And then it goes on to explain a little bit more about his career and his experiences before coming to the club. And I think this little line of text here is quite revealing, in the sense of he's not just doing the carbon copy football operations stuff, oversee the scouting, oversee the succession planning for transfers, as well as the manager and maybe the recruitment of further coaches or other kind of elements of the scouting department. But he's actually going in to support, educate on the job, bring people up to level with the sort of protocols and the procedures that he would have been used to, as you've seen throughout his career, in the lower reaches of English football, and then like towards the back end of it in that more kind of consultancy role with some teams in the Premier League. And the sources that we have here at Celtic here lead us to believe that Tisdale actually had a bunch of offers from the Premier League to take up this position in line with Celtic's approach, and ultimately obviously he's ended up at Celtic, which is very, very encouraging. Now, this was highly speculated when the rumours came out that we might be appointing Tisdale, but Paul assisted the club across the summer transfer window and now joins Celtic on a permanent basis. So this sounds like he maybe had some sort of working interview on the go in the summer. Just for a quick recap, our summer transfers this summer was Schmeichel, Sinisalo, Ida, Bernardo, Valle and Trusty. Ida and Bernardo were kind of in the works already, but I think we could probably put the responsibility or the credit or whatever you want to think of it at the doorstep of Mr. Tidsdale here for the likes of Sinisalo, Trusty and Valley. And then you're looking at probably Casper Schmeichel and Luke McCowan as maybe being guys that have also just been ID'd internally, or Brendan's obviously phoned Casper as we know. And then we get to hear from Michael Nicholson, who doesn't love a bit of that. We are delighted to appoint Paul as the head of football operations, and we're sure he'll bring a new dimension, someone that actually knows football, to our work. Talent ID and talent development from our academy through to the first team is of fundamental importance to the club's strategy, and Paul has a tremendous expertise in these areas, and I don't think there's really any doubt in that when you read his credentials from, the lower reaches of England. A huge part of the economy that goes around with those clubs is player trading, is developing players that you can sell, and he's certainly got a proven track record of doing that with pretty limited resources, especially by our standards. But this also really excites me in line with the development of the new youth academy facilities that we're building down at Barrowfield, that it does feel that Celtic are slowly but surely, one step at a time, moving into 21st century elite football. So having the new facilities come on board and now having some more personnel in place, it does feel that this might not be as much of smoke and mirrors or a lot of hot air like it used to be. I can imagine Celtic in 3, 4, 5 years from now really developing some serious players out of our academy, thanks to the joined up thinking, the coherent approach that we have from boardroom to training pitch to youth academy, which we have been sorely lacking. We are certain that he will bring great expertise, energy and innovation to what we do, working alongside Brendan, our football manager, Chris McCart, the head of academy, and our excellent wider football staff to bring further development and success to the club. Success is firmly in the picture here. Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers said that he is so pleased that we have been finally able to bring Paul to the club in this important new role, and I'm really looking forward to working with him. He's a hugely talented man who I know will make a real positive difference to us and give us a new edge. And this is something that I've heard a lot around Scottish football for the last couple of weeks, when people look at potentially Brighton coming into Hearts, the changes we've seen at Aberdeen, and the link up that Hibs have got with, I think it's Bournemouth. But domestically, we really just outmuscle everyone, and if those teams that have some resources compared to their European, counterparts started to get a bit smarter, started to get a bit cuter in the transfer window, our domestic dominance, I don't think it would come under threat necessarily, but I don't think it would be as smooth as a ride. And we are certainly missing that extra edge of a head of football operations, a director of football, as it were, to come in and keep us not just ahead of the pace of everything domestically and all the kind of grassroots development that happen around world football, but help us bridge that gap to the elite, because we just can't inject 300 million into the bank or whatever. We are doing great financially, I think we all know that, but it's getting that edge where the money we've got can work as hard for us as possible on the pitch. He knows modern football inside out. He understands what we need as a club, what our team needs to operate at a high level, and how we can develop positively and successfully across a number of functions within the club. I've known Paul for some time and have been well aware of his work. I know that will be a huge asset to Celtic, and that his knowledge, talent and tremendous work ethic will be crucial to us as we drive forward across a number of areas, always with the aim of delivering higher performance and more success. Paul Tidsdale himself went on to say, it's a huge honour to accept this new role at Celtic and join a club of such pedigree and stature. I love to see that. I can't wait to join the team to begin my work and deliver positive results. Celtic demands and deserves excellence across all areas, and I know that that is something that the board and Brendan seek at all times. In my role, I will be doing all I can to further develop our work across talent ID, development and analytics. There's a real consensus from everyone here around those three main buzzwords, isn't there? Talent ID, talent development and analytics on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, whatever it might be, always with the aim of ensuring high-level support of our football performance. Having knowledge already of Celtic, I know there are so many quality, authentic people at the club, all pulling in the same direction and passionate for success. I look forward to joining them as we work together to deliver excellence for the club and our supporters. Now, one of the things that I'm super excited about having someone in this position at Celtic finally is that, one of the real changes that we thought we had at Celtic under Ange Postecoglou was we were forward planning our transfers very aggressively. We weren't bothered that we had Juranovic already in the building. We went and signed Alistair Johnson and then, moved Juranovic on. And that felt like a real change to the way we'd been operating before. And we all thought this might be a new Celtic. We might actually be pretty serious in the transfer window. And that seemed to be, a bit of a one-off situation, sadly. But the head of football operations or director of football, it is 100% their job to be making sure this type of thing happens. And across European and world football, there's a few kind of famous, directors of football, head of football operations, whatever you want to call it. And the majority of these guys don't work at the very big clubs. They work at, we're thinking about the big 5 leagues in Europe. They maybe work at a team that's trying to break into the top 3, the top 4, and they're working with good resources. They've got a solid fan base. They've got really good fundamental operations. And the thing that then helps them get that extra edge and bridge that gap is knowing when to sell someone, is knowing when you need to bring someone else in. And if something happens that you couldn't have foreseen or wasn't on the plan of attack for this season, might be a serious injury, it might be a transfer, it might be a contract negotiation breakdown, it might be your manager leaving halfway through the season. This is the person that should be on a constant scouting basis to replace every member of the squad, every member of staff within the club as well, so that no matter what the eventualities are, you can seamlessly move from one stage to the next, from one era to the next. Because over the last 10 or 15 years, you don't need me to remind you of all the instances that we've had, but sometimes we've held on to players for a little bit too long. We've maybe then not got the best value for them in the market, or when we've not sold them, they've been off-peak performance, as it were, and then their value is maybe diminished. They then maybe make a bad sentiment in the room. We maybe have to change manager and nobody knows where the next manager is going to come from. If you even think about when Ange came in, that was a real left field thing post Neil Lennon, and nobody really knew who we were going to go after. There was no real solid links or anything like that. Ange just kind of happened within 24, 48 hours, it felt like, looking back on it. And the exact same when he left, everyone was worried that we were going to move backwards, we were going to go back to type, go and get another kind of Neil Lennon kind of appointment, as it were, that would keep us as we were at the top of Scotland, and maybe you get lucky once in a while in Europe, or you get lucky once in a while with some transfers. And Brendan coming back in was a bit of a godsend, to be quite honest with you, to get somebody of that calibre to come back into the club despite the first stint and how everything went. And that's all hunky-dory and that's all fine. But going forward, these shouldn't be problems. These shouldn't be concerns for Celtic fans as a whole. We should really now be a lot more prepared, a lot more professional, and just actually execute decisions a lot better in terms of signing players, extending contracts, and, And when it comes to the development of talent, a lot of you guys will know this already, but we have this link up with Admira Wacker in Bundesliga, the Austrian Bundesliga 2. Maybe they get promoted, get into the Bundesliga 1. That would be fun. But I think a huge part of actual talent development is looking after the players' careers. We've seen Darren O'Day in the summer move into the player pathway role. And I think it may not just be a case of we get better training facilities, a better training regime, as it were, for the youth academy players. But we might actually start to see now our good prospects get significant loans to some pretty decent places where they can cut their teeth, where they can actually learn their craft, develop, and then when they do come back into the squad and we maybe need to call upon them, they're actually ready, willing, and able to do the job at hand. And we might see, the fruits of the labour of the youth academy finally impacting the squad on a much more broader basis. And yeah, I'm just excited to see Celtic actually maybe even walk into this moneyball environment that we see so many clubs across European football exercise, where you can get a great deal for a Matt O'Reilly and sell him for 35 million, and you already know 3, 4, 5 players that you can enforce the entire squad with the proceeds of that transfer. With that one exactly in the summer and all the ones we've had going by, you can tell the club have got no idea what to do with the money when it comes in, which is why they tend to hold on to it, and then maybe we get one guy, maybe we get 2 guys in to replace them. And I think this summer's business overall, I didn't even mention Engels earlier on, totally fell off the back of my brain earlier, but I think this summer's business was better in that regard to what we've seen before. And by all accounts, our man here, Mr. Tidsdale, was heavily involved in the idea of Engels as well, to add into the list of people I mentioned in the video earlier on. And as he gets more familiar, as he gets his feet under the table and he really starts to feel the power that he has in his position, I'm really excited to see maybe not what happens in January, but certainly what happens in the summer. But yeah, we're out of the dark ages, we're into the 21st century now, one step at a time we're getting there. This is a huge appointment. I think I speak for everyone here at the Celtsar here and all you guys who subscribe to the channel, where we welcome Paul and we wish him all the best of luck in his future Celtic career. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Don't forget to get into the comment section of this one and let me know your thoughts and feelings. On screen and now some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Hail, hail, Moan the Hoops.